Welcome back to the Glenn Beck program. I am Jason Whitlock, sitting in for Glenn Beck. I hope you're enjoying the show. We have more to get into. I'm joined by Stu and Uncle Jimmy. I want to take us deeper into our conversation we're having today. How do we fix America? Where do we go from here? How do we combat the people trying to tear this country down? And I've been explaining that they are using, liberals are, white liberals, black liberals, white liberals and their flunkies or people they've converted to their side of the fence. And I've been trying to explain in columns over at Outkick about how what the liberals are doing, these modern day liberals today, are the ideological descendants of the enslavers from 400 years ago. Modern liberals today are the ideological descendants of the enslavers from 400 years ago. And so when I want you to look, when you see a liberal, one of these very passionate political liberals, and again, I don't want to demonize them all because they're not all this way. Some of them throw on their liberal hood to cover up their bigotry. Some of them just take that label on so they don't even have to deal. No one can call me a racist. I'm a liberal. And so they just do it out of convenience. It simplifies their life. They can go on, take care of their families, work their jobs. Look, I'm a liberal. You can't accuse me of anything. And some of them are just going along to simplify their life. But there are others at the core of liberalism that are the ideological descendants of the enslavers from 400 years ago. So when you see them, I want you to think of them as being on a boat that's bringing slaves into America. And then they have some helpers that are blacks that help them catch slaves. And again, if you watch Roots or you know anything about the slave, there were black people that helped white enslavers catch slaves. And that's all. That's what you have going on right now with liberals. And so I'm going to tell you why. Because Uncle Jimmy, I see you like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I want you to think about this. Let's go back 400 years ago, and what would an enslaver tell you? Uncle Jimmy, your black skin makes you a special classification of human beings. And your black skin limits your freedom because you're a special classification of human being who's unworthy of freedom. And so your blackness is your defining characteristic. Your skin color tells me everything I need to know about you and how I can classify you and use you and enslave you. Your skin, that's what they said 400. Would you agree with that? Was the mentality 400 years ago?
Well, if I let you do that to me, then that's
400. They did it at gunpoint at that time, but
I understand.
Now they do it at laptop point or social media app point.
That's very powerful.
They put a social media mob on you. They removed the gun and just said, look, we got a special classification. This is the Associated Press, which is basically the media platform for America. The entire globe reads the Associated Press. That's how they get their initial impression of America. And the Associated Press in June, shortly after George Floyd's tragic death in Minneapolis, decided, you know what? There's a special classification of Americans that you can identify by their skin color, black. And that classification of people, we are now going to capitalize the B in black. No other ethnic group gets this distinction. There's this one group of people who their most prized possession, their defining characteristic is their skin color, and we're going to classify them and let everybody know that's a special group of people. We're going to capitalize the B in their description of themselves, and they're black, and they're different than everybody else, and their freedom is basically limited because the way things operate with the gun that they have, social media, control of celebrities or whatever, if you don't stick to a liberal point of view on all issues, you're kicked out of the black race. You're kicked out of the black race. Oh my God. You think that Barack Obama isn't the greatest president in the world, and oh my God, you're not black. What do you mean? You don't think Barack Obama's the greatest thing? What do you mean black isn't your defining characteristic? What do you mean you want to stick to the values that your grandmama and your minister taught you at church? Don't you understand that liberalism and blackness mean you abandon everything that you were taught in the church to serve liberalism? You don't have the freedom. Every other group in this country has the right, the freedom. I want to be conservative. I want to be liberal. I want to be libertarian. I want to be a bunch of stuff other than my skin color. Everybody else gets to do that but us. Liberals, primarily white, in control of Hollywood, the movie industry, the music industry, academia, has said that there's a special classification of people in America. Their defining characteristic is their skin color. We get to decide what is black or not, and they have to live up to those standards on a day-to-day basis, or we kick them out of their skin color. You must serve blackness. Blackness is your religion. Blackness trumps God, Jesus, and everything. Your skin color is the most important thing about you. I started down this path because of Dave Chappelle's appearance on Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, after the election. And Dave Chappelle got up and gave this very unapologetically black performance on Saturday Night Live. Dave Chappelle, who's married to an Asian woman who lives in a predominantly white rural community, got on the stage at Saturday Night Live and look how black I am. I hate Trump. And I'm a liberal and I believe in all. And I'm like, he started his speech talking about his great-grandfather who was born into slavery and who used three things. Dave said there were three things about my great-grandfather. He loved education. He pursued freedom for black people. And he loved Jesus Christ.
That's what he said.
Those were out of Dave Chappelle's mouth. And I was like, loved education, love freedom, and love Jesus. That sounds like America. That sounds like stereotypical American values. And I'm like, so his great-grandfather comes out of slavery, meets with Woodrow Wilson, takes a delegation of black people to meet with Woodrow Wilson in the White House. Woodrow Wilson at the time was considered a friend of the Confederacy. But Dave Chappelle's grandfather, being a typical American, loving education, loving freedom, and loving Jesus Christ, went to meet with the president. Now anybody black that meets with the president gets kicked out of the black race. We don't get to just pursue education, freedom, and Jesus Christ anymore. That's been taken away from us by the ideological descendants of enslavers. They've imposed a mental slavery in replacement of the physical slavery. And it is more destructive than the physical slavery. When they take over your mind, they've taken over your body, your spirit, your soul. They disconnect you from God and connect you to liberalism. It's the capital B. This special distinction they've given us. And again, you started the show asking me, Christianity, a lot of people say that was given to us to enslave us. No. The defining of us as black and that being a special characteristic, that was given to us and limited our freedom. That was given to us and put us mentally enslaved. so that they could physically enslave us. Worshiping your skin color, thinking of it as the defining characteristic of you. That is the enemy of black people and the enemy of America. They're using that to tear down America. I'm sorry. I've got liberal friends. I know it bothers them when I point this out, but I'm going to point it out because it needs to be pointed out. It's the only way we save America. They have convinced you that conservative is a curse word, that conservative is the code word for Satan. Conservative, if you really understand, I'm taking the politics out of it. Conservative means I believe in God, and I'm going to stand on these principles that God teaches in the Holy Bible. That's what conservative is. It's a trick and a game that's being played on you. I've never voted for anybody. I'm not involved in politics. I'm not ashamed of being a conservative because all it really means in this day and age is I believe in the word of Jesus Christ and God. Mm-hmm. And some of you say you will stand on those principles and choose death over them. You won't even choose social media scorn. You can't even handle that. So I know you'll deny him if death was on the line. If you can't handle a celebrity, a LeBron James or one of these other idiot celebrities calling you out over social media or on TV because you stand on the principles that was taught to you in church as a child, you will deny Jesus at every turn. If that's all it takes is some tweets and some retweets and not getting some likes, this is all connected. It's all connected to how they're using racial disharmony to promote racial division and animus, to tear down this country and to take away the values that made this country great. Was it always great for us? No. I am not in denial. But did the values, did the things implanted in the Declaration of Independence, in the Constitution, did they put us on a path towards freedom for everybody? Absolutely. And if America was as evil as they pretend in the mainstream media and over social media, these airports would be filled with black people trying to get up out of here. And you couldn't get them up out of here with a stick of dynamite. So quit lying.